Hello everyone and welcome to a video on the topic of my 3 Excalibur Umbra builds. So before we begin, this isn't a video showing you guys how to build Excalibur Umbra or how to play Excalibur Umbra. This is just showing how I build him 3 times and how I use them. So Melee 2.9 recently came out and that of course changes the way gunplay works with melees, especially Exalted Melee. So if I have my Exalted Blade out and I'm just killing things, happy, I can of course then aim and go straight into gunplay and then go back to meleeing, and then I have my range and my melee play, which is all pretty nice. I do have a couple of kinks to work out here and there, but for the most part it's pretty good. So let's jump into the builds and show how we actually get on with him. It is worth noticing that all of my Excalibur Umbras use a different styling, so we do have 3 styles for him, all using the same helmet because I absolutely love that helmet, but each one of them uses the same kind of energy color, being a blue, which gives us lightning elemental damage, and that is important later on when we get to the builds. Now, all 3 builds are using Steel Charge. The reason for this is because I'm getting more with Exalted Blade using Steel Charge than I would be Corrosive Projection, because I'm already using Corrosive Elemental damage on my Exalted Blades, and we'll get into that in a minute as well. And I also have the highest status chance that you can get with the 2 builds that are using Corrosive. So I did test this myself and I'm getting similar, slightly quicker kill times at higher levels with Steel Charge than I am Corrosive Projection, so it's completely fine. Power Drift, 30% chance to resist knockdown. It's okay, that's not the main reason why I'm using it. I am using this of course for 15% ability strength, and this is coupled with the triplets, the Umbral mod set here. 66% ability strength, 192.5 armor, 770% HP increase, and of course on their own they are giving you a lower value, because the benefit of this mod set is the more you have, the higher the values go up, which is important because Umbral Vitality and Umbral Fiber by themselves have the same initial value as their base counterparts, just being Vitality and Steel Fiber. So the 3 sets there giving us 877 armor, 1070 HP, and a total of 181% power strength with Power Drift. Dramatic Blade, this gives us 50% status chance and makes us do elemental base damage with Exalted Blade, and the status chance is actually increased depending on your ability strength with your build. So you need So you need at least 180% power strength to be able to get 100% status chance with Excalibur Umbra. Feeding Expertise and Prime Continuity, this is to kind of repair the drain just a little bit on Exalted Blade. So your initial drain when using this ability is going to be 10, and then you'll have a drain of 1.05 per second. The reason why I'm using Fleeting Expertise over Streamline is because that extra efficiency also works into the rest of Umbra's kit, which I use quite a bit. So we're having some server issues here. So Radial Howl, a drain of 20 there, and Prime Continuity, fixing our duration, which we're losing from a match rank Fleeting Expertise, gives us a duration of 14.25 seconds blind on our enemies, which is damn good, especially because when you're using Radial Howl, you're probably going to use it 6 seconds later anyway, because enemies are going to, walk next to things and take cover and then walk out of cover, and Radial Howl works based on line of sight. Slash Dash, 10 drain per second. The damage is mediocre. The reason why I use Slash Dash, however, is because it is an exceptional mobility ability, and it will help us get from point A to B quite a bit, and also close the gap between groups if we just want to go Exalted Blade and not actually use our guns whatsoever. Stretch, this is to play with Radial Howl and Slash Dash. Of course, this increases the radius that we blind enemies, and of course increases the range that we actually travel using Slash Dash, and the range that we lock onto enemies. Prime Flow is our energy bank. This gives us, 638 energy. That's good to use there. Arcane Grace, this gives us healing per second. 6% chance when I take damage, we get 4% HP per second for 6 seconds. So, that's some good sustain there. Arcane Strike is 40% attack speed to our melee weapons for 12 seconds. Every time I hit, I have a 10% chance of proccing that, and I believe it doesn't just proc with melees, it can proc with guns and even sentinel weapons, which is cool. So that's generally up quite a bit. You'll notice 3 former in this Excalibur Umbra, well, the only Excalibur Umbra you can own actually, because you can't get more than one of them unfortunately, and I have a capacity of 11. 11 capacity left over means when I start a mission, there we go in the bottom right, you can see I start with 155 energy, which is good, so I have a good energy bank in the beginning of missions. This is my general purpose Excalibur build. Good survivability, good sustain, excellent mobility, excellent damage output, excellent crowd control. Excalibur seems to be a damn good Warframe. Now, Exalted Umbra Blade, this is our primary blade loadout, and you will notice that I am not using a sacrificial set. The reason being is because I have Prime Fury and Prime Pressure Point. If you don't have these two mods in the primed variants, of course, use your sacrificial set there, why not? But do notice that I did former off the umbral polarities to the matriarchs, the matriarch polarities there, the Phi or the R symbol, to fit these two on. And the reason is because this is more DPS at a very short amount of attacks per second and in the long run than the sacrificial set. So after 1 second of attacking constantly with Exalted Blade, I am getting more damage per second overall with Prime Fury and Pressure Point. And Fury is going to play really nicely into a little bit of synergy that we have with our survivability. Condition Overload, this is the meat of the build, or at least the Umbra Blade build. 60% melee damage per stats type affecting the target. I did go over this in the previous video. It is not actually 60%. It is 60% when you get a single status chance or status effect on an enemy. But the moment you get 2, it's actually more than another 60. So instead of going 60 to 120, it's actually higher than 120, and then we get 3, it's actually higher than 180. I'm not going over that right now. Berserker, even though we have a very minimal amount of crit chance, Berserker is going to give us an extra 75% attack speed when you get it stacked up 3 times for 24 seconds, only when you do hit your crits. And the reason being is we have so much attack speed with Prime Fury and Arcane Strike that we're going to crit a damn lot with Berserker, and that's going to proc up to the max, and we're just going to get all kinds of crazy. North Wind and Molten Impact is giving us our blast. So there's our blast using the 90 mods, because like I said, we have at least 100%, at least 180% ability strength on our Exalted, on our Umbra, so we have 100% status chance. Brine Fever Strike, this is going to set up our corrosive element. Do remember that I have the lightning element coming from my energy color, so the lightning is like this hidden 9th mod just there, and it is applied last in the modern order, so that's given us corrosive, primary corrosive here, and as you can see the value is higher, so this is what I'm going to be proccing first, and then I'll be proccing blast secondarily in that order. Healing Return, now a lot of people like to use Life Strike. I don't. I like Healing Return because it does the job exactly the same, and I don't have to worry about channeling. Now people will argue that, well, Exalted Umbra Blade or Exalted Blade is going to kill enemies too quickly to really benefit from Healing Return, but at the level where you're killing enemies too quickly to benefit from Healing Return, you're not going to die anyway, and at high levels it is perfectly fine, and I will show that in a minute. And do remember that I do have 2 elements coming from here. I have 2 elements on my Sentinel weapon. Again, I have another video showcasing Condition Overload and priming it perfectly with Sentinel weapons. So that's a total of 4 elements on the target, and Healing Return is going to go absolutely crazy with that. So that is our general build for Exalted Blade and Excalibur Umbra, and I'm just going to go ahead, spawn in some enemies. Hopefully my mouse doesn't lose tracking this time. Go in there, unfortunately hard landing, and just, I don't know why that one ran off the map. I don't know how that one did that to me, but there we go. Chop it up, chop it up, chop it up, chop it up. Jin is dead, so I no longer have my Sentinel weapon. There we go. You can see, I don't know if you just caught that, but I did position myself smartly, which you should be doing in higher level play actually as well. But just with 2 elements, I've got enough damage going out, and Healing Return is sustaining me. Smart play. And you do want to use your Radial Blind, of course your Radial Blind. Unfortunately, I believe it is in Simulacrum with Exalted Blade. Makes everything stealth, because Simulacrum has this interesting bug. So if you're using gas, I can't remember if gas double dips with stealth anymore, but yeah, so. There's the sustainability with Exalted Blade using Healing Return on a general purpose Excalibur Umbra build. 99% of the time you're not going to be using this against level 165 enemies. Now Jin did die, unfortunately. That's because when my Jin dies in the simulacrum, even if I change my build, it doesn't reset primed regen. So yeah, that's interesting. Anyway, second build. This one is generally for open area play, such as Plains of Eidolon or the new Fortuna. This one's primarily tuned to Fortuna, which we'll see with our elemental choices. Of course, we are starting with Steel Charge. The build is somewhat similar. Same arcanes, triple umbral, prime continuity, chromatic blade, prime flow. The difference here is adaptation, because out in the Orb Phallus, when you get that Corpus wanted level going up, enemy levels can scale up quite a bit, and quite a bit can actually happen, and you can take quite some aggro, so extra damage reduction is nice. Firewalker, mainly using this for a bullet jump. This is the best bullet jump mod that you can put on a Warframe, so it's giving you that extra parkour speed, which is excellent, because this is primarily a exploration based damage survivable Umbra build. Streamline instead of our fleeting expertise. Main reason here is because I want that duration pumped up now, because I want my blind to be pretty long in comparison to my primary Umbra, because so many enemies are going to spawn out in the Orb Phallus that some of them may be behind cover, and the ones that are really far away, I want them to stay blinded so I can get to them while I'm dealing with so much other stuff. So this is just, like I said, a more balanced general build with no range essentially. Chromatic blade, of course, and you will notice that we only have 166% power strength. Now, going into this Exalted Umbra blade, you'll notice our status chance is 93, and that's because, like I said, we don't have 180% power strength, but that does work out completely fine. We are using radiation and fire with this one. Like I said, I am tuning this for Fortuna content. Everything else is generally the same. Now, having a lower status chance with these two elements are fine, because these don't stack on top of each other like corrosive does. Once you proc fire, fire's there. Once you proc rad, rad's there. If you absolutely, for some reason, want 100% status chance, you can put in your 60-60 molten impact or a 60-60 cold mod, or if you don't have Prime Fever Strike, a 60-60 Toxin mod. It's completely up to you if you want 100% status chance there. Or maybe just find a way to fit in that Power Drift if you want. But like I said, these are my personal flavours. The third and final build, Umbra 3. This one is tuned for pure damage. As you can see here, we've still got Steel Charge in, of course. Like I said, it is better for Exalted Blade than Corrosive Projection. Power Drift going into our triple umbral set, giving us 181% power strength. You may think, well, that's still the same as our primary build, but we have energy conversion on. So when you pick up an energy orb, you'll get a buff just up here in the top right. It'll look like a little peering eye, and you'll get some blue swigglies on your Warframe, showcasing that you have a stack of energy conversion. You will consume that stack the moment you use a Warframe ability. That's 50% extra ability strength added on to my total ability strength. So 181 becomes 231. It is not off base, so it's not 50% of 100. It is added on last. So I get 231% power strength, make my Exalted Blade do absolutely crazy amounts of damage. Exalted Energize, Arcane Energize instead of Grace. The reason being is because we're not using Prime Flow, but we are using Fleeting Expertise and Streamline. Now, do note that Fleeting Expertise and Streamline is plus 90% total efficiency, but on sheet it's only showing 175. This is pure Exalted Blade. This one is only using our 4th ability, maybe our 2 sometimes, depending on high level content. Chromatic Blade in there, of course, and then Arcane Strike for extra damage per second. Now, just quickly touching on it, if I use a lower rank Fleeting Expertise, it'd be better if I just, typed it in. You do notice that our duration is up to 50% now. Efficiency stays the same, of course, because we are overstacking. Exalted Blade, 6.25 drain on use, 1 drain per second. But if we overstack, because it's a channeled ability, it actually goes down to 0.63 drain per second. And that's because 190% efficiency gives you your 75% efficiency on the channeled drain of channeled abilities, but not the initial cost. You can of course repair that if you want by using the duration mod. I went over this in a video already, I'm not going to do it again because it can be quite a bitch to explain. So of course adaptation was in there. I'll just go back over that again. Adaptation is in there. This is a pure damage and survival build output. This is meant for late game, survival, story 3, arbitrations, you know, real high level or at least higher level content, and really pushing those hour-long survivals, and Kuva as well. So going down to Exalted Umbra Blade, you see this build is essentially the same as Primary Blade. Well, there you go, essentially the same as Primary Blade. And I am actually going to showcase off this damage. Cryotrate, every single build that I use, because I'm using Condition Overload on my Exalted Blade, every single build I use has a Sentinel weapon as well, with 2 different elements on it that I'm not using on Exalted Blade. You can see I have Blast and Corrosive, and then Cryotrate with a 100% chance to trigger Radiation and Viral. So that's going to play nicely. I'm going to get my stack there of energy conversion. I'm going to spawn my 20 level 165 enemies, and now consumed energy conversion, and we're just going to delete. Delete, 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 delete. See all those elements stacking up there. Delete, 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 delete. Now of course general play is different to Simulacrum. These enemies are very bunched up, so I'm making even better use of Healing Return, but as I said, take my word for it, Healing Return is extremely good, and I absolutely love using it over Life Strike for Excalibur Umbra. Delete, 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 delete. Delete, 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 delete. There we go. Where is it? You can kill them just there, and so. Oh, absolutely wonderful. Those are my Excalibur builds. To retouch on the point, this is not me showcasing how to build him or how you should build him, but I am saying this is how I've been building these Excaliburs for over a year now, and very like because it's almost coming up to June, so Umbra's almost existed for a year now, and I've had nothing but success with these kinds of builds, and they've been excellent and wonderful to play. So, like I said guys, these are only my personal favours. Do what you want at the end of the day, just make sure that you're not crutching yourself or your team. Now regarding of your disposition towards the information in this video guys, I do hope that you enjoyed it and possibly found it informational. If you did, please go ahead and feel free to leave a like, possibly subscribe, and of course I will see you guys in the next video to come, which will probably be a nice little not so secret synergy with Exalted Blade and a certain secondary weapon, and then I'm probably going to try and move on from Excalibur Umbra onto other Warframes. So yeah, thank you for watching again guys, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. But we got this new there we go, and I'll see you next time.